Hello, good evening. It's Gary Gedall, psychologist, psychotherapist, reflecting on who is Meghan Markle. So tonight we're going to have a look at the concluding part of Meghan and her parents. That's became much longer than I anticipated. I thought it would be a maximum of 2 episodes, and it became 4. But that's just the way that these things are. And just a small update on where I'm at. Just so maybe you're interested, maybe you're not interested. But if you're not interested, then I'm going to tell you anyway. So just so that people know, is that I have finally decided that I am going to start another 70-day challenge. For those who might know what 70-day challenge is, it's a challenge that lasts 70 days. Wonderful, isn't it? 10 weeks. So I will be starting to go on YouTube for the 70-day challenge starting next week. So if anybody's watching and they're interested, then you should join me. And that'll be for 10 weeks. I'm only going to do one evening a week. The other weeks I did 2 and 3 evenings a week, but I found it a little bit too much. And so I've decided to reduce it down to 1. Hi. So there we are. 70-day challenge. Have a look starting from next week, and I hope that will be fun for you. So here we go. This is the final of 4 parts of Meghan and her parents. We had 2, which was a case study, which was I was very pleased to have done it, and I found it very interesting, and it linked actually very well to both Meghan and Harry's childhood, which I could speak more about it maybe in the book, and we'll see how that goes. So tonight, with the last part of Meghan and her parents, which is here, and we'll just see how that goes. See you in a minute. Who is Meghan Markle? Hi, this is Gary Edward Gedall, psychologist, psychotherapist, looking at who is Meghan Markle. So, we've been looking at Meghan and her parents. We've looked at a case study where I hope I've shown how Meghan and also Harry might have idealised their mothers and distanced themselves from their fathers. And then we started to take a closer look at Harry and his parents, and then to Meghan and her relationship with her parents, and how that might well have formed a large part of who she is. And part of her life coping strategy is that of what I call the big boss. For those of you who might have missed it or have forgotten, here is a mini recap of the first part of the first episode. I believe that Meghan never really appreciated her father. And I will add that neither did Harry appreciate Charles as much as he should have. It was just someone who was there, the real person, and yet the person who's always been wonderful has been her mother. But her mother, in reality, from my point of view, has always been woefully absent. What I'm saying is that because of life circumstances, they had not been available to be mothers in the classic sense of being around all the time. Because when you're around somebody all the time, then you also have to do what I call the nasty bits. You have to do the discipline. You have to say no. And those responsibilities were left to Thomas and to some degree to Charles. Meghan's relationship with her mother, her complicity and generosity and charity and all those wonderful things has been coloured by this idea that her mother is wonderful and her father is boring and uninteresting and not very capable. But I believe that she, Meghan, benefited greatly from his generosity, his presence, and his investment in her. So we all have coping strategies. That's how we survive in the real world. Now, one of the coping strategies that people might put into place, I have termed as the big boss. The big boss says, I'm in charge of everything, I control everything, give me all the power, and I will take all the responsibility. And I believe this is an attitude that she has. The big boss coping strategy. And I've seen that in the way that Meghan functions. She has this big boss coping strategy.
I control everything. That way, I can feel safe.
It comes from a feeling of helplessness. Strange, you think? Well, no. Think about it. How do you cope when you feel helpless? Either you accept you are helpless and seek help from others if they're available, or you give up on expecting others to help and you find the power within yourself, or you curl up and die. So why would Meghan feel helpless? I believe with the mother not being available, after all, she left when Meghan was 2 years old, and a father not being very forceful or dynamic. There's been a hole, a lack of safety, a lack of structure. No one to make her feel safe. No one strong enough to create that structure. Because structure helps you feel safe. If you have 4 walls around you, you feel safe. If you don't have a decent structure around you, you can't feel safe. And I don't believe when she was growing up, she had an appropriate structure around her. So what happened? What happened was that very, very early on in life, she started making the decisions. Her mother wasn't there. Her father was very relaxed and very easygoing. Also, maybe very guilt-ridden because of the situation she was in, that in some way he had put her into. Maybe guilt-ridden also because maybe because of his other children. That could be the reason for the separation. Anyway, more than likely guilty and even more easygoing than usual to try and compensate for that. Feeling responsible, feeling guilty, feeling wanting to be the mother and the father, and not being too aggressive or rigid, and therefore not giving much of a structure. Daria, her mother, is complicated. Everything else is complicated, but more than likely also feeling responsible, also feeling guilty, also feeling that she wanted to be the mother and wanting to compensate for being absent, and maybe spoiling her a little when they were together, and therefore not giving her much of a structure, not often saying no. And Thomas, I believe, he did not provide enough of a protective structure. So what did she do? What could she do? When you don't have a structure to protect yourself with, you feel lost. As I said, either you go more into the feeling of being lost and you express how helpless you are and be what I call express the baby, the helpless baby crying for help, if help can come. Or if no help comes, you create your own structure, the big boss. And so she started early on. I believe very early on, Meghan took the power and the responsibility to survive. Just part of the same thing. She decided, maybe with a group of other kids, that she wanted to write to Procter & Gamble and ask them to change the advert. I hope you remember this stuff about the adverts. It's in one of the other videos. It would have been her motivation. He would support her. He would help her. She felt she needed to be responsible. She wanted to see to it, to deal with it, to make it work. He was there to help support her. It wasn't his idea. It wasn't his motivation, but it was his support that made it work. The only problem is that when the big boss arrives at a very early age, which it often does, the person doesn't have much awareness of their own limits or normal limits, because the only limits they know are the limits they create for themselves. And when you can create, when you create any limit you want, you create a limit where you have a huge amount of power, because then you are safe. Power and responsibility. People look at you, people respect you. This can be wonderful. You could be seen as a wonderful, powerful human being. And she has been. She has been involved with many social things which we've already covered, where she has supported other people because she's been dynamic and progressive and very outspoken. People have appreciated her for that, and with good reason. So this big boss, this I take control, I take responsibility, this is my game, if you like, has been very positive for her on one dimension, but it's also very dangerous. So I believe that's the way she grew up. It's based on not having enough structure at an early age, feeling lost, and having to create it in herself, this experience of being the big boss. And not to forget, she also idolized her mother and devalued her father. So we'll come all back to that at the end. But now we come to the end of this episode. We have to finish here because the next episode, yes, we're finally about to talk about the conflict between Thomas and Meghan and Gary's conspiracy theory. So join me next time for something incredibly interesting and maybe a different way to see something that everybody else sees in one particular way. Because I see things very differently than most people. So next time, next Monday, I'll share with you the conflict between Thomas and Meghan and Gary's conspiracy theory. So like, share, subscribe and comment. Bye for now. See ya, Gary.
We're a couple of spares, we're cool 'cause we have no cares. Our brothers rule the country with their grace and their noble airs. We're a couple of jocks, we've both been fruity tots. If our brothers had their way, we'd both end up in the stocks. The Clinton folks have asked us up for tea. We don't know how to get there, no siree. No siree! We would drive up the avenue, but the chauffeur left us twice. We would skate up the avenue, but there isn't any ice. We would ride on a bicycle, but we cannot ride a bike. So we'll walk up the avenue. Yes, we'll walk up the avenue. And to walk up the avenue's what we like. Media stars are we, with full publicity. We'd open up our secrets, but Oprah's out to tea. We're the favorite lads of girls in the picture ads. We'd like to tell you who we kissed, but Jeff would think us cats. The Fox and friends are waiting at the club, but how are we to get there? That's the rub. That's the rub. We would sail up the avenue, but we cannot fly a kite. We would ride up the avenue, but the horse would Meghan bite. We would ride on a trolley car, but we don't know what that is. So we'll walk out
there you go. Well, I was a bit of a surprise because I had a problem with the microphone, and because I had a problem with the microphone, I thought I'd put that on again, just for the fun of it. So there you go. That's Meghan and her parents. If you have any thoughts and reflections, let me know. Send me a chat. Let me know what you think. Let me think. You know what you think about a couple of spares. I'd like to have your reaction for that. Next week, yes. Next week is the beginning of Gary's conspiracy theory. I'm a bit late tonight, a bit tired, so I'm talking a bit rubbish, but it's okay. I'm good at talking rubbish. That's going to be in, again, 2 parts. So the first part will be before the marriage, what happened with the photographs and the crisis about the photographs, and the second half will be about the letter and the crisis about the letter. The crisis about everything, really. So that's spend next week. So to speak French again, really tired tonight. And also next week I'll be starting, as I said, my a new 70-day challenge. It'll be for me, it'll be a physical one. So if you're interested in finding out about that, join me next week. I'm not sure whether it will be Monday at some point or Tuesday. I'm going to send out some publicity before that. And I will talk about it also on this after next week. So thank you for joining me. It's nice to have some people that are here. I will see you next week. For those that arrived a bit late, come a bit earlier next week, and then you'll see what there is to see. Okay, so bye for now, and have a great week. See ya.